The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. Alaric, a 44-year-old architect in Seattle, stared out the window of our modern, glass-walled home, a home I had designed with so much love, so much hope. Now it felt like a cage. A gilded cage, perhaps, but a cage nonetheless. It had started subtly, the little things that you brush off as stress or a phase. My wife, Bronte, a vibrant and successful marketing executive, had become distant. Her laughter, once a daily symphony, was now a rare and strained melody. She worked late more often, business trips became more frequent, and her phone was always in her hand, face down, guarded like a national secret. I told myself I was being paranoid. Bronte and I had been together for 15 years, married for 12. We had built a life, a beautiful life. We had weathered storms before. This was just another one, I reasoned. But the gnawing feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. It whispered insidious doubts, painting vivid pictures of betrayal that I desperately tried to erase. One evening, Bronte said she had to fly to New York for a last-minute client meeting. "It's crucial, Alaric," she said, her eyes avoiding mine. "I'll be back on Friday." I kissed her goodbye, the taste of her lipstick strangely unfamiliar. As I watched her taxi disappear down the street, a wave of unease washed over me. This trip felt different. It felt wrong. I tried to distract myself. I pored over blueprints, worked on a new design proposal, anything to keep my mind from wandering down the dark paths of suspicion. But the silence of the house was deafening, amplifying the doubts that swirled within me. On Wednesday, I couldn't take it anymore. The anxiety was a physical ache in my chest. I knew I was probably being ridiculous, but I had to know the truth. I called the hotel Bronte had mentioned, the Grand Hyatt in Manhattan. "I'm trying to reach Bronte Dubois," I said to the receptionist. "She's a guest there." There was a pause. "I'm sorry, sir, we don't have a Bronte Dubois registered at the hotel." The room seemed to spin. My breath caught in my throat. "Are you sure?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Perhaps there's a different spelling. I've checked all variations of the name, sir. There's no one registered under that name." I hung up, my hands shaking. The denial I had clung to so desperately shattered into a million pieces. She wasn't in New York. She had lied. But why? The next few hours were a blur of frantic activity. I called her office. She wasn't there. Her assistant said she was out of town on business. I tried her friends. No one seemed to know where she was. Each unanswered call, each vague excuse chipped away at my heart, confirming my worst fears. I decided to do something I never thought I would do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Caspar, a gruff, no-nonsense man with eyes that seemed to see right through you. I laid out my suspicions, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and shame. "I need to know the truth, Caspar," I said. "No matter how painful it is." Caspar nodded, his expression impassive. "I'll find out what's going on, Mr. Dubois. I'll have something for you within 24 hours. The next 24 hours were the longest of my life. I paced the house like a caged animal, the silence broken only by the incessant ticking of the clock. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. All I could do was wait, dreading the moment Caspar would call. Finally, the phone rang. I snatched it up, my heart pounding in my chest. "Mr. Dubois," Caspar's voice was flat, professional. "I have the information you requested. Tell me," I said, my voice hoarse. "Your wife is not in New York. She's in Portland, Oregon. She's staying at the Heathman Hotel with a man named Rhys." Rhys. The name hit me like a physical blow. Rhys. Bronte had mentioned him before. He was a colleague, a friend from college, she had said. I had met him once or twice. He seemed nice enough, harmless even. "But no, we have photos, Mr. Dubois," Caspar continued. "Would you like to see them?" I hesitated. Did I really want to see the evidence of her betrayal? Did I want to witness the reality of my shattered marriage? But I knew I had to. I had to face the truth, no matter how brutal it was. "Yes," I said, my voice barely audible. "Send them to me." Within minutes, the photos arrived in my inbox. I opened them with trembling hands. There they were, Bronte and Rhys walking hand in hand through the streets of Portland. Bronte laughing, her face radiant, a look I hadn't seen in years. Bronte kissing Rhys, their bodies pressed close, lost in their own little world. Each photo was a knife twisting in my heart. The pain was so intense, so overwhelming, that I thought I might actually die. I stumbled back, collapsing onto the couch, the photos scattered around me like fallen leaves. I don't know how long I sat there, numb with shock and grief. The rain continued to fall, washing away the last vestiges of my hope, my faith, my belief in Bronte. Finally, I stood up, my legs shaky. I had to do something. I couldn't just sit there and wallow in my misery. I had to confront her. I had to know why. I booked the first flight to Portland. I didn't care about the cost. I didn't care about the inconvenience. All I cared about was getting to Bronte, looking her in the eye and demanding an explanation. The next morning, I stood outside the Heathman Hotel, my heart pounding in my chest. I took a deep breath and walked inside. I asked the receptionist for Bronte Dubois' room number. She gave it to me without hesitation. I rode the elevator to the 5th floor, my hands clenched into fists. I stood outside her door, my knuckles hovering over the wood. I could hear voices inside, muffled laughter. I closed my eyes, took another deep breath and knocked. The door opened and there she was, Bronte. Her eyes widened in shock when she saw me. Her face paled and she stammered, "Alaric, what are you doing here?" Behind her I saw Rhys standing in his boxers, his face a mixture of surprise and guilt. "I think that's obvious, Bronte," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I know everything." She didn't deny it. She couldn't. The evidence was right there in the form of a half-naked man standing in her hotel room. "Alaric," she started, but I cut her off. "Why, Bronte?" I asked, my voice trembling with pain. "Why did you do this to me, to us?" She looked down, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know," she said softly. I wasn't happy. I felt like we were stuck in a rut. I needed something more, I repeated, incredulous. "After everything we've built together, after all the love we shared, you threw it all away for something more. It wasn't like that, Alaric," she said, her voice rising. "It just happened. I didn't plan it. It just happened," I scoffed. "You flew to Portland with another man and you're telling me it just happened?" Rhys stepped forward, his face contrite. "Alaric, I'm so sorry," he said. "This is all my fault. I never meant for this to happen." I glared at him, my fists clenching tighter. "You stay out of this," I said, my voice dangerously low. "This is between me and my wife." I turned back to Bronte, my eyes filled with a mixture of anger and heartbreak. "I don't understand you, Bronte," I said. "I thought we were happy. I thought we had everything." "We did," she said, her voice cracking. "But it wasn't enough for me. I wanted excitement, adventure. I wanted to feel alive again. So you chose to betray me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "You chose to destroy our marriage." She didn't answer. She just stood there, her eyes filled with tears, her face a mask of guilt and regret. I looked at her, at the woman I had loved for so many years, and I realized that I didn't know her anymore. The Bronte I had fallen in love with was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. "I'm done, Bronte," I said, my voice flat and emotionless. "I can't do this anymore. I'm filing for divorce." Her eyes widened in shock. "Alaric, please," she begged. "Don't do this. We can work through this. We can fix this." "No, Bronte," I said, shaking my head. "We can't. You broke something that can't be fixed. You betrayed my trust, and I can never forgive you for that." I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there, alone and heartbroken. As I walked out of the hotel, I felt a strange sense of liberation. The pain was still there, but it was mixed with a sense of relief. I was finally free. The divorce was messy and acrimonious. Bronte fought me every step of the way. She tried to gaslight me, to make me believe that I was overreacting, that I was being unreasonable. But I stood my ground. I refused to be manipulated. I refused to be a victim. In the end, I got everything I wanted. I got the house, I got the majority of our assets, and I got my freedom. Bronte was left with nothing but her regret and her affair partner, who, by the way, dumped her a few months later. I moved on with my life. It wasn't easy. There were days when the pain was almost unbearable. But I refused to let Bronte's betrayal define me. I focused on my work, I spent time with my friends and family, and I slowly began to heal. Years later, I met someone new. Her name was Genevieve, and she was everything Bronte wasn't. She was kind, compassionate, and loyal. She loved me for who I was, not for what I could give her. We got married last year, in a small ceremony surrounded by our loved ones. As I stood there holding Genevieve's hand, I realized that I had finally found true happiness. Bronte's betrayal had been a painful chapter in my life, but it had also led me to something better, something real. But the story doesn't end there. A few weeks ago, I received a strange email. It was from an anonymous sender, and it contained a single photograph. It was a picture of Bronte, looking old and haggard, standing outside a rundown motel in a small town in Nevada. She was alone and she looked utterly miserable. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, but it quickly faded. She had made her choices and she was now living with the consequences. I deleted the email and tried to put it out of my mind, but the image of Bronte, alone and miserable, haunted me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I decided to do some digging. I hired Caspar again, the same private investigator who had helped me uncover Bronte's affair. "I need you to find out what's going on with Bronte," I said to him. "I have a feeling she's in trouble." Caspar agreed, and within a few days he had the information I needed. It turned out that Bronte had lost everything. Her career had tanked, her relationship with Rhys had ended badly, and she had squandered all her money on gambling and drugs. She was now living in poverty, working as a waitress in a small-town diner. She was addicted to painkillers and had alienated all her friends and family. I was shocked and saddened by the news. I had never wanted Bronte to suffer, I had just wanted to be free of her betrayal. I decided to do something I never thought I would do. I reached out to Bronte. I called her, and to my surprise she answered. "Alaric," she said, her voice weak and trembling. "Is that really you?" "Yes, Bronte," I said softly. "It's me. I heard about what happened. I'm so sorry." She started to cry. "I messed up, Alaric," she sobbed. "I ruined everything. I don't know what to do." "It's okay, Bronte," I said. "I'm here for you. I want to help you get back on your feet." I offered to pay for her rehab, to help her find a new job, to support her in any way I could. She was hesitant at first, but eventually she agreed. It wasn't easy. Bronte was resistant to treatment and she relapsed several times, but I didn't give up on her. I stayed by her side, offering her encouragement and support. Slowly but surely she began to heal. She kicked her addiction, she found a new job, and she started to rebuild her life. It wasn't the life she had envisioned for herself, but it was a life nonetheless. I don't know what the future holds for Bronte, but I do know that she is finally on the right path. She has learned from her mistakes and she is determined to make amends. And me? I have learned that forgiveness is possible, even in the face of the deepest betrayal. I have learned that love can conquer all, even hatred and resentment. And I have learned that sometimes the greatest revenge is not to inflict pain on those who have wronged you, but to help them heal and find redemption. The rain has stopped now. The sun is shining, casting a golden glow over the city. I look out the window at the beautiful home I designed, the home that once felt like a cage. Now it feels like a sanctuary, a place of peace, love, and forgiveness. A place where I can finally be happy. Summary. Alaric, a successful architect, lives a seemingly perfect life with his wife, Bronte, in Seattle. However, subtle changes in Bronte's behavior lead Alaric to suspect infidelity. His fears are confirmed when he discovers Bronte is having an affair with a colleague, Rhys, in Portland. Devastated, Alaric confronts Bronte, leading to a painful divorce. Years later, Alaric finds happiness with a new love, Genevieve. However, he learns of Bronte's downfall, marked by financial ruin, addiction, and isolation. Despite the pain she caused him, Alaric chooses to offer Bronte help and support, guiding her towards recovery and redemption. In the end, Alaric learns the power of forgiveness and finds true peace, understanding that the greatest revenge is helping someone heal. To you, the reader, remember that even in the face of betrayal, choosing compassion and forgiveness can lead to unexpected healing and a brighter future.